look to as the major reasons why you weren't able to advance in the tournament?
Yeah, obviously focus mostly on tonight as opposed to the Club America game, which of course contributes to our position in the table. But I think tonight we obviously showed a real lack of urgency in the first half, and certainly didn't look in the opening stages of the game a team that was desperate to score, desperate to really play with a rhythm that reflects the need to win and the need to really push. I can't look at the second half and say that wasn't the case. I felt like we played with far more urgency. It was very clear that it was almost like watching two different teams, I suppose, in that sense. But that is what you'd expect in a set of circumstances like that, where you're attacking that end with a real desperation to score and win. And I think we were able to spark a little bit of energy and a bit of connection between the players and the crowd through the changes that we made. But ultimately, when it takes 19 shots to get 2 on target and we really lack that precision around the top of the box, then I think we could have been there for another couple of hours and perhaps wouldn't have scored. So we're obviously really disappointed with the nature of the performance, some of the really critical moments that cost us in terms of defending our own box, the lack of precision and the lack of real decisiveness at the other end. But the flip side of that is, and this is what I have to take forward, the greater good that goes with a reduced fixture congestion, given where we are at the moment and the number of games that we've got to play. What I don't want to happen is any bad feeling to seep into how we feel about MLS, how we feel about Open Cup, and that was the message that the players had, that we have to learn, we have to get better, we have to really look at ourselves hard around some of the themes across the 3 games. But ultimately, I want to preserve that feeling of this being a group that is moving in the right direction.
And just a specific question with the goal scored just before the half, just what did you see from your defense on that one?
The first goal was the second goal. The second goal, yeah. So the first goal, we're obviously really disappointed with marking again at set plays, and I've made the point to the guys recently that the critical moments in defending our box, they are now not just costing 3 points or 2 points. They will cost now our position in the table, our status when it comes to the playoffs, our ability to stay in tournaments. It may perhaps costs trophies, and that I've talked to the players about that in the context of now we're at the business end of the season. Every moment is very decisive. So the points at which we switch off in our man marking responsibilities, really costly, and that's been costly over the course of the last 2 games. So what has to happen now is that we really learn from those moments, and we fortunately had a chance to experience what has felt like 2 cup finals, I would say, over the course of the last 2 games against Club America and tonight, without them being cup finals, and we've been able to hopefully learn lessons from games that feel big and important. And then the second goal is again really disappointing in the sense that I think a theme over the course of tonight was a lack of real conviction in the duels, and we lose 2 duels on the edge of the box, on the halfway line, should I say. Rosales loses the first one, Anthony loses the second one, and ultimately it transpires in the second goal. So I think just that lack of conviction was a theme across a number of players over the course of the entire game, and that has been really costly tonight.
Eric, you said yesterday about being strategic in your team selection, trying to manage where guys are at. Did you feel like you had enough there? Because you made a couple changes at about 50 minutes. Did you feel like you're just trying to make do with what you have and kind of figure out what ways to make it happen?
I mean, I think it's my responsibility more than anyone's here to make sure that we keep the sort of 15, 16 senior players that we've got at the moment in really good shape, and I think that was obviously reflected in the team we picked at the beginning, the way in which we made changes. But ultimately, there's the bigger picture at play here is that we are in the Open Cup semi-final. We do have an incredibly important run of games in MLS, and I want to make sure that the guys are fresh injury free where we can possibly help it. And I think up until this point, across those 15, 16 guys, we've done a really good job in that sense. And I'm very transparent with the players when I talk about that type of thing. At the moment, I'm really prioritizing preservation, freshness, and that of course has its drawbacks. But I think ultimately I'm the person that has that responsibility, and I am the only one that can make that decision. And I'm hoping that over the course of the coming months, we feel good about some of these decisions that we've made, in the same way that over the course of the early summer months, we felt good about a couple of the decisions we made to rotate, because I think greater good is the phrase that I have in mind, and that big picture being really important to us.
Coach, ¿qué cambió en el equipo con respecto al partido pasado? Porque esta noche lo vimos totalmente diferente. ¿Y qué enseñanza se lleva de este torneo?
Necesitamos jugar con un sentido de convicción, de desesperación de ganar, y hoy no lo hemos hecho. Contra Club América, en un partido que sentía como un partido muy grande, como un final, casi como un final. He visto un equipo con un gran deseo de ganar. Hoy es un poco diferente, es decepcionante para nosotros, porque tuvimos una gran oportunidad de competir por 4 competiciones y ahora no hemos mostrado nuestra mejor versión. Y lo que es importante ahora es tomar el positivo y concentrarnos en la liga. Y yo sé que tenemos un equipo muy, muy competitivo, y no queremos que haya un sentimiento que dura después de ese partido.
Eric, you kind of came up against another low block. Did it reminisce kind of to LAFC a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. That's been. I think some of the symptoms of tonight have been. There's been a thread through those over the course of probably 4 games this season that we've played at home, where we do have the luxury of dominating possession. I would say there's I'm off at a tangent here, but I think we have improved over the course of the last couple of months in terms of being able to get our foot on the opposition's neck and get to the top of the final third with more ease, with more control, with the team together. So I think that is there is a progression there, but obviously with that entails smaller spaces, a much greater demand on the players on the top of the box to play with real precision, be able to give the final pass under real pressure, and create out of in some senses what feels like nothing. And I've said that it's no secret we've got a group of forwards that are very comfortable attacking in big spaces, but also we have players that can unlock, that can find the final pass. Tonight we didn't see that. We created, I would say, 19 what felt like half chances. We maybe created 4 or 5 of some note, but I wouldn't say there was anything really clear, perhaps other than Bongi's chance. So there is evolution there from the perspective of how we approach those situations, how some of the individuals do, how the squad hopefully starts to look over the course of the months and the windows to come, in there being real variety across that front line. But I'm convinced that we will continue to improve in that sense, and the players will hopefully really relish that challenge to be better in those situations, because ultimately it's an enjoyable situation to be in, where you're attacking relentlessly and you have a real opportunity to show yourself as a player that can go and decide a game, and unfortunately that's not been the case tonight.
One from Zoom here, then time for
All right, we're gonna go over Zoom now. Orlando, adelante.
Gracias. Buenas noches, profesor Orlando Castellán, Servicio Informativo en Deportes. ¿Con qué se va, con qué se queda de lo que vio el partido del día de hoy, y qué le deja de aprendizaje este torneo de Leagues Cup para futuras ocasiones, más allá de que hoy pues tenían que haber ganado para poder tener por lo menos la esperanza de tener el acceso a la siguiente fase? Gracias.
No, para nosotros cada derrota es una oportunidad de aprender, y he tenido ese enfoque por toda mi carrera y particularmente mi tiempo aquí, y con lo que viene para nosotros, un semifinal en el Open Cup, partidos grandes en el MLS. Hoy es una oportunidad de ganar lecciones que pueden ayudarnos en el futuro, particularmente en términos de nuestra convicción alrededor del área, nuestra precisión con el balón, nuestra capacidad de defender balones parados y defender el área con más convicción. Y por eso yo veo el lado positivo, porque hemos tenido la oportunidad de aprender antes de encontrarnos en situaciones similares en el futuro, y yo creo que para nosotros aprender, progresar es la sola cosa que podemos hacer.
Eric, we saw that, or we talked to Joaquin, and he talked about kind of seeing the Orlando result 5-1, and kind of feeling like he needed to or they needed to score multiple goals to kind of get ahead, the goal advantage. Did you feel like that's kind of harkens to kind of the nature of needing to be perfect in this tournament, and kind of how the format is set up so perfect?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly difficult to progress, and I think depending on how that Portland game is now going, I think Portland were winning at one point, and it was looking as though almost our result tonight would have been largely irrelevant anyway, assuming that one of two teams goes to win tomorrow. So yeah, there is very little margin for error in this format, and I'd sent the team out tonight with the message that ultimately, first and foremost, it was about winning the game and not getting drawn into chasing multiple goals very quickly, because I felt like that could be a message that really. A really unhealthy message to go and give the players, given that it's such an abnormal thing to ask of the team, and ultimately I felt like we did enough to win the game by multiple goals, but the nature of the tournament means that sort of thing is of course hanging over players' heads, and there is a strange feel, I suppose, once you get to this point, with lots of dead games, lots of teams that are playing for very little, and then other teams that are playing with real conviction and desperation. But we've not been able to use that to our advantage tonight, so it's certainly no excuse, and we had the platform to do what we needed to do tonight, and I include winning by multiple goals in that sense.